Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Legacy here. Today, we're exploring a pretty wild fanfic scenario. What if Naruto was a full-blooded Otsutsuki and married Kaguya? This is part 2. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you're always in the loop when a new one drops. Let's set a small goal, 62 likes on this video. I know we can hit it. Alright, let's get into it. Disguised beneath a hooded cloak and a flickering Otsutsuki Jinjutsu, Naruto stepped through the gates of the Hidden Leaf Village, his heart thumping with an odd mix of nerves and homesickness. It felt good to walk familiar streets that smelled of wood smoke and steamed buns, where sunlight filtered through the branches of the ancient tree of judgment. Here, for a little while, he could pretend he was just a boy again. Back to Team 7. He found Team 7 exactly where he'd left them, at their old training field, bickering as usual. Sasuke threw kunai with cold precision, Sakura barked encouragement and threats, and Kakashi lazed against a tree, pretending to nap but watching everything. Naruto approached quietly, trying to hide his grin. "Hey losers, miss me?" Sakura spun, eyes widening in shock. "Naruto, are you really here?" He dropped the Jinjutsu with a dramatic flourish, laughing as Sasuke rolled his eyes but couldn't hide a smirk. For a time, it was just like old days. They sparred and joked, the awkwardness of months apart slowly melting. But every so often, Naruto caught their eyes lingering on him a moment too long, noticing the faint silver in his hair, the impossible grace in his movements, the way chakra seemed to bend unconsciously around him. After the laughter faded, Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "You've changed, Naruto, but you're still you. Don't forget that." Naruto managed a grateful smile, but the words weighed on him. Could you ever really be just you, when you belong to two worlds? Hinata and the heart's truth. Later, as dusk deepened, Naruto wandered to the edge of the village where Hinata tended a garden of pale flowers. She saw him and her shy smile warmed the air. "I heard you were back," she whispered. Naruto sat beside her, picking at the petals. "A lot's changed, Hinata. I'm different. Sometimes I don't know who I'm supposed to be anymore." Hinata looked at him, gentle but brave. "You're still the Naruto I believed in. But maybe now you're even more. Do you love her? The moon goddess." He hesitated, feeling the ache of longing, the memory of Kaguya's hand in his, her ancient loneliness, her fierce tenderness. I do," he said quietly. "She's lonely, like I was, but strong too. And when I'm with her, I don't feel so lost." Hinata nodded, understanding in her eyes. Love is when you find home in someone else's heart. He took her hand, squeezed it gently, and the moment passed with no bitterness, just a sweet, healing peace. Cooking disaster. Before leaving, Naruto couldn't resist one old tradition: dinner at Ichiraku Ramen. "Let me cook this time," he insisted to Tsuchi, who looked both honored and alarmed. Naruto channeled a swirl of Otsutsuki chakra into the boiling pot, intending to make the noodles extra perfect. Instead, the broth glowed blue, the noodles levitated, and every bowl on the counter began to spin like a tiny, noodle-filled planet. Sakura shrieked as ramen flew everywhere. Sasuke dodged with Sharingan reflexes, and Kakashi, somehow, ended up with a perfect serving atop his head. Naruto threw up his hands in surrender, splattered but grinning. "Maybe I'm not ready to be a celestial chef yet." Even Tsuchi laughed, wiping tears from his eyes. "Just eat, Naruto. You're always better on the customer side." Goodbyes. As the stars appeared overhead, Naruto slipped away, heart lighter for having touched his roots again. The village would always be a part of him, but as he glanced up at the glowing moon, he knew exactly where he belonged. With her, with Kaguya. His home, his heart, was no longer bound to just one world. That on the Otsutsuki homeworld, the stars themselves felt sharp with suspicion. Since the union of Kaguya and Naruto, the palace's once cold order had grown brittle. Whispers slithered through the luminous halls. Unrest, rebellion, and the threat of sabotage. One night, a catastrophe shattered the fragile peace. The palace's great seal, a barrier that protected both the Otsutsuki realm and the hidden world below, flickered and collapsed in a storm of shattered light. Ancient alarms wailed as guardians scrambled. An intruder, unseen, had sabotaged the core. In the chaos, all eyes fell upon one suspect. Naruto framed. Evidence, unmistakable and damning, surfaced in the heart of the palace. Naruto's chakra signature, woven into the seal's destruction, and a forbidden scroll, one only he could have accessed. The council descended like a pack of wolves, voices cold and accusing. An outsider, always unstable. Now he betrays us. He's never truly one of us. Naruto tried to protest, voice ragged with disbelief. I didn't do this. Someone's framing me, can't you see? But the council had made up their minds. They bound him in threads of starlight, unbreakable and cold, and cast him into the star cage, a prison that floated in empty space, its walls alive with shifting illusions designed to break the spirit. The star cage. Days passed in silence, broken only by the echo of his own doubts. Visions flickered on the walls, Kaguya's face twisted with disappointment, his friends in the leaf looking away. He fought back, clinging to his stubborn hope, but each hour pressed heavier. Then light. A rift shimmered in the fabric of the cage, and a familiar voice rang out. You're still a pain to rescue, you know. Sasuke, wrapped in Otsutsuki battle regalia, and clearly unimpressed by it, stepped through the wall. Behind him, Kaguya herself bent space with a thought, eyes burning with wrath. Sasuke tossed Naruto his headband. You ready? Always. Naruto grinned, the fire back in his eyes. Kaguya reached for his hand. The star cage rippled and fractured as she poured her power through the bonds. The illusion shattered, and together, Sasuke's Sharingan blazing, Naruto's moonlight swirling, Kaguya's fury bending reality, they broke free, confronting the true traitor. The alarm resounded through the palace. Kaguya, Naruto, and Sasuke raced through twisting corridors, dodging guardians and illusions, following a trail of falsified chakra. In the council chamber, Lady Kyoku, once the most trusted advisor, stood waiting, her features twisted by hatred and ambition. At her side, a shadowy figure flickered into being. Danzo, of the leaf, his single eye cold and calculating. It was you, Naruto breathed. You set me up. You wanted to break Kaguya, make the council turn against her. Kyoku sneered. The moon's future is too precious to be left to sentiment. The clan must be purified. Danzo's gaze flickered over Naruto. And Konoha will never bow, not while you hold the world in your hands. The moon, the leaf, neither needs you, boy. Action and aftermath. A furious battle erupted. Chakra and Jinjutsu clashing, illusions and moonlight intertwining. Sasuke dueled Danzo, eyes flashing with defiant fire. Kaguya's rage swept through the chamber like a storm, her power turning traitors' schemes to dust. Naruto, his name finally cleared, channeled his bond with Kaguya, their powers uniting in a radiant burst that sealed Kyoku and Danzo in a prison of their own making, a mirror of the star cage, this time for the guilty. Resolution. Breathless, Naruto turned to Kaguya. Guess it takes a little betrayal to show who's really on your side. She smiled, fierce and proud. Never doubt it again. Sasuke rolled his eyes, but didn't argue. Next time you get arrested by space gods, don't forget to invite me. Together, they walked from the ruins of the council's schemes, the future uncertain but their bonds, human and divine, stronger than ever. Otsutsuki City, the crown jewel of the moon's civilization, once gleamed in calm starlight. Now it trembled beneath a storm. The city was under siege. Loyalist Otsutsuki clashed with rebels in the crystalline streets. Sky bridges shattered under the weight of battle, and Moon Palace towers cracked with unleashed chakra. The old council, led by Lady Kyoku's lieutenants and desperate conspirators, unleashed forbidden jutsu, their goal clear: dethrone Kaguya, erase her corrupting consort, and return the clan to icy tradition. But tonight, Kaguya Otsutsuki was no longer the silent goddess chained by custom. The goddess unleashed. From the highest spire, Kaguya descended, robes rippling with starlight, hair billowing in the gale force of her power. Her eyes blazed, reflecting not just anger but the pain of centuries, the ache of loneliness, the insult to her chosen heart. The rebels faltered as she landed among them. For the first time, the moon goddess raised her voice. This city stands by love and choice, not by fear. Moonlight bent at her command, sweeping aside attackers in waves of silver force. Where old traditions bound the weak, Kaguya's will shattered the chains. Battle joined, Naruto and Kaguya. Naruto rushed to her side, cloak torn but spirit unbroken. His chakra flared, the air around him shimmering with silver spirals and golden warmth, a marriage of earth and moon. Together, they faced the council's strongest. Ancient warriors wielding cosmic fire, summoned beasts of stardust, jutsu that warped space itself. Each blow they traded wasn't just survival. It was a statement. The old order could not kill love. Naruto darted through the chaos, creating shadow clones that mocked the counselors with taunts and pranks, breaking their focus. He drew their attacks away from the wounded and defenseless, always at Kaguya's side when the fire grew hottest. Kaguya, for her part, wielded her power with purpose, defending, not destroying, sweeping Naruto up in her moonlit embrace when enemy blades closed in. Mid-battle confession. In the eye of the storm, as a barrage of forbidden jutsu threatened to engulf them, Naruto and Kaguya stood back to back, breathing hard, battered but unbroken. Kaguya's voice trembled, just loud enough for him to hear over the roar. All my life, I thought strength meant solitude. But with you, Naruto, I feel stronger than ever. Naruto, panting and grinning through bloodied lips, replied, "Guess you're stuck with me now, huh? Because I'm not leaving. I love you, Kaguya." Moonlight and Chakra World, their hands meeting in the chaos. The world paused. Two hearts, one promise. At that instant, their combined power ignited, blossoming in a spiral of white and gold. The rebels' jutsu shattered against it, ancient seals dissolving like mist in the sun, shattering tradition. The old council, stunned and desperate, hurled their last, most forbidden technique, a prison of memory meant to trap Kaguya and Naruto in endless regret. But their love, new, flawed, and real, burned through the illusion. Side by side, they swept through the council, not with vengeance, but with undeniable, overwhelming unity. One by one, the rebels faltered until only silence remained. The city watched as Kaguya, her power dimming, cradled Naruto's hand in hers, no longer a goddess above, but a woman beside. Aftermath. The battle was over. The city was scarred, but the moon had a new dawn. Kaguya's rule, once cold and unquestioned, now glimmered with hope, and Naruto, battered but smiling, stood as her equal, not just by law, but by love. Above them, the stars seemed brighter. The sky tore open at dawn. As the battered Otsutsuki city struggled to heal, the traitorous counselors, desperate and cornered, unleashed their final gambit. From the moon's deepest vault, they activated an ancient weapon, the Eclipse Engine, a relic of primordial Otsutsuki conquest, meant to fuse worlds for harvest. Now, its purpose was twisted, to collapse Earth and Moon into one, sacrificing both to annihilate Kaguya and Naruto and seize ultimate power. As the weapon roared to life, space began to fold. Across the sky, day bled into night. The moon's silver disk bloomed, growing larger, pulling tides, shadows, and even landscapes into wild, impossible contortions. Houses rippled, forests shifted, and people felt their feet unmoored. Reality itself was coming undone, rallying two worlds. While panic spread on Earth and in the moon's city, Naruto refused to break. He raced to the palace balcony, shouting a rallying cry amplified by chakra across both worlds. Listen up. This isn't just about Otsutsuki or Shinobi anymore. If we don't fight together, we're all done for. The call resonated. Old rivalries faded. Uchiha and Hyuga joined Otsutsuki guardians on floating bridges. Sand and mist shinobi leapt across gravity-defying landscapes, while Kaguya's loyalists wielded cosmic jutsu to anchor towns torn between sky and earth. Sasuke and Sakura led squads across the writhing terrain, protecting civilians and targeting the weapon supports. Even stubborn Bijou, swayed by Naruto's courage, emerged to lend their strength, roaring defiance at the collapsing heavens. Kakashi's diplomatic disaster. In the midst of chaos, Kakashi, gray hair tousled, the ever-present mask still in place, stood before an audience of Otsutsuki war priests and frantic Kaguya. With his best, "I'm too old for this" sigh, he pulled out a tiny notepad. "Now, if we could just have everyone form a single file line, we can calmly address the existential threat." And a beam of gravity-warped energy barely missed his head, singeing his flak vest. He tried again. "Let's maybe try a suggestion box." The Otsutsuki priests blinked, uncomprehending, and resumed arguing in six-dimensional equations. The Kaguya barked contradictory orders. Sand began to rain sideways. Kakashi's visible eye drooped. "Why did I leave the house today?" A squad of floating Otsutsuki children zipped by, giggling and pelting him with cosmic confetti. Unity in the eclipse. As the world slipped ever closer, Naruto and Kaguya, hand in hand, soared toward the core of the Eclipse Engine, a sphere of spiraling darkness and blinding light. The traitors, fused to their weapon, hurled all their fury at the couple, space-splitting jutsu, illusions, weapons that bent probability. But Naruto's courage and Kaguya's wisdom, amplified by the hopes of both worlds, forged a shield no evil could pierce. He called upon his shinobi memories, every lesson of stubbornness, kindness, and never giving up. She lent him her ancient strength and her newfound trust in humanity. Together, they shattered the weapon's heart with a combined burst of moonlight and chakra, restoring balance in a final, blinding eclipse. Aftermath, a new dawn. As the merged worlds began to separate, reality righted itself. People awoke on both Earth and Moon, breathless and amazed. For a moment, the sky held both sun and moon together, a promise that neither would ever stand alone again. And somewhere, Kakashi finally convinced two Otsutsuki priests and Asuna Jounin to play a game of shogi, peace brokered in the most unlikely fashion. Reality had barely settled before the next tremor rippled through creation. Deep beneath the moon's crust, where the border between worlds was thinnest, the ancient god tree had awakened. Its roots, pulsing with forbidden chakra, reached between earth and moon, seeking to restore the Otsutsuki's old dominion. In its core, hidden beyond layers of living wood and chakra storms, glowed the mythic final fruit, a chakra orb so powerful that, if consumed, it could reshape all of existence, or end it. But the traitors were already there. Led by Lady Kyoku's last loyalists in the shadow of Danzo's schemes, they clawed their way through the tree's defenses, desperate to claim the fruit and become gods themselves. Their chakra twisted the god tree, awakening its will, ancient, hungry, and merciless. The descent. Naruto and Kaguya arrived at the edge of a spiraling vortex, where branches turned to doorways and gravity had no meaning. Time flickered, the air tasted of memory and dreams. Hand in hand, they plunged into the roots. Every step was a battle. Roots snapped at their feet, illusions tried to drive them apart. Voices from past lives whispered doubts in their ears. But with every heartbeat, their resolve grew. "I'm not letting go," Naruto promised, squeezing Kaguya's hand. "Even if the world ends." She looked at him, and for a moment, her ageless mask fell away, leaving only a woman who had lost and found her heart. "If we fall together." Battle against traitors and the tree. At the core, reality broke apart. The god tree's heart was a garden of impossible beauty and terror, swirling with stars and ancient memories. The traitors stood before the final fruit, their bodies already warping under its power. Lady Kyoku sneered, her form half root, half Otsutsuki. "You cannot stop us. This is our destiny." Naruto stepped forward, defiant. "Destiny is what you make it, not what you steal." The battle was chaos, roots lashing, traitors hurling jutsu powered by the god tree's rage. Every blow from the tree threatened to tear apart their chakra, to erase them from memory. The traitors tried to consume the fruit, but the tree itself resisted, turning on them in wild agony. Kaguya called on her deepest power, shaping moonlight into shields, sending ripples of peace through the chaos. Naruto countered the tree's illusions with stubborn laughter, banishing fear with hope, holding Kaguya's hand through every storm. When the traitors merged with the tree's flesh, becoming monstrous and desperate, Naruto and Kaguya fought back to back, their chakra joining in a spiral of light that shattered roots and healed wounds. Promise in the storm. Amidst the chaos, as the core trembled, Kaguya stumbled. "The god trees will press down," whispering ancient loneliness and the promise of easy power. Naruto caught her, holding her close as the world shook around them. "You're not alone. Not now, not ever. We fight until the end, together. That's the only promise that matters." Her eyes shimmered, tears and moonlight mingling. "I trust you, Naruto." With a final cry, they joined their power, a surge of love and rebellion, breaking the god tree's grip, forcing the final fruit to bloom in harmless, radiant petals. The traitors, undone by their own hunger, were swept away by the tree's collapse. The world, scarred but alive, began to knit itself back together. Aftermath. In the settling quiet, as the core's light faded, Naruto and Kaguya stood together, battered, breathless, but unbroken. If this is what falling together feels like, Naruto panted, grinning. "I'd do it all again." Kaguya smiled, a true, luminous smile. And for a moment, the whole world seemed reborn as the last echoes of the battle faded. Naruto and Kaguya stood in the heart of the god tree's collapsing core. Light and roots twisted around them, time and space dissolving, until there was nothing left but the beat of two hearts and the pull of something vaster than either could name. They reached for each other, fingers trembling, chakra merging, drawn together by love and necessity. And in that touch, the world fell away. A shared soul. For a moment, there was only light. Naruto's senses blurred. He felt himself dissolve, not lost, but joined. Kaguya's memories swirling into his own, her pain and hope and ancient longing flooding him with raw, dizzying clarity. In turn, she felt his stubborn optimism, his loneliness, his joy, his endless refusal to give in. Together, they drifted through visions. The past, Kaguya, once young and wild, looking up at the stars with awe and terror. She reached out for love, not power, and when the Otsutsuki clan demanded her obedience, she resisted, just as Naruto had always done. The first rebellion, a secret love, a child lost to clan schemes, Kaguya's tears watering a barren moon. She tried to defy fate, but was punished with isolation and legend. The future, visions of the world if Naruto fell. The moon and earth torn apart, loneliness swallowing all light. But another vision bloomed, one where their hands remained clasped, worlds united, hope outshining fate. Naruto understood at last. Kaguya's love for him was not just destiny. She loved the way he fought back, the way he laughed through pain, the way he offered her a second chance at what she'd once lost. "I love you because you refuse to let the world decide who you are," she whispered in his heart. "And I love you because you keep choosing, even when it's hard," he replied. Fusion, the moon sage, their souls, swirling, knit together, not erasing, but elevating both. Their forms merged, becoming something new, a fusion of goddess and mortal, moon and earth, power and heart. Their hair, silver and gold, flowed together. Their eyes gleamed with twin lights. Their chakra, a spiral of warmth and moonfire, pulsed like a new dawn. The traitorous remnant of the god tree rose before them, a beast of roots and starlight, hungry, vengeful, determined to drag them into oblivion. But the moon sage was unstoppable. With a sweep of their fused hand, they conjured shields of hope, blades of memory, waves of love so bright they banished the last shadows of the traitors and calmed the tree's rage. Every blow they struck was a song, an act of healing, not hatred, as the core of the god tree transformed from a prison into a garden. The ultimate secret. In the quiet after victory, a final memory shimmered. Kaguya, defiant in a council of cosmic tyrants, refusing to let fate define her. The same stubbornness that lived in Naruto and now lived in both of them. She had not fallen from grace, but leapt, hoping for love to break her chains. Naruto wept, not for her, but with her, and together, they smiled, finally free. Separation and return. As their souls drifted apart again, the god tree's heart beat gently. Kaguya and Naruto emerged, hands still clasped, bodies their own, but forever changed. Their bond was deeper than chakra, deeper than destiny. They had rewritten fate together. The moon goddess was reborn, not alone, but loved. The Otsutsuki council chambers, once a stage for icy politics and silent judgment, now shimmered with cautious hope. Starlight filtered through crystalline windows, painting the battered hall in silver and gold. Where once traitors whispered, now only the echo of hard-won peace remained. The traitorous elders had been imprisoned or exiled, the last fragments of rebellion swept away by the fusion of goddess and hero. The city outside hummed with anxious curiosity and the thrill of something new. A new order. Kaguya stood at the head of the chamber, her presence luminous but no longer distant. Beside her, Naruto tried to look regal, his hair brushed for the first time in weeks, ceremonial robes askew in that unmistakably Naruto fashion. Otsutsuki of all ranks and a delegation of human shinobi gathered as witnesses. It was a day for new laws, new beginnings. Kaguya's voice was soft, but carried clear. For too long, we ruled with fear. Today that ends. We will unite with the earth, not dominate it. Shinobi and Otsutsuki will walk side by side, their strength shared, their fates entwined. She turned to Naruto, pride and affection in her gaze. And I declare, before clan and cosmos, that Naruto Uzumaki is not only my consort, but my equal in all things. The bridge between our worlds. A cheer swept the chamber. Some Otsutsuki hesitated, but even the most stubborn bowed to the will of a goddess who had, at last, chosen hope over isolation. The crown of moons. As the formalities concluded, Kaguya lifted a shining circlet, woven of starlight and petals, studded with slivers of all the moon's phases. She placed the crown of moons gently on Naruto's brow, her touch lingering just a little longer than custom required. Her eyes sparkled. With this, you are the moon's heart. Naruto flushed, ears red, and gave a nervous, lopsided grin. The coronation speech and mishap. It was time for Naruto to address both worlds, something he prepared for, but not really rehearsed. He stepped forward, bowed, and tripped over his own robe, catching himself on the edge of the dais. The crowd gasped, then fell silent. Naruto coughed, straightened the slightly tilted crown, and scratched his head. Hi, everyone. I'm Naruto. You probably already know that by now. I just wanted to say, we're going to make things better, together. No more scary secrets or weird rules about not eating ramen in the palace. A few Otsutsuki giggled behind their sleeves. The shinobi grinned. Sakura buried her face in her hands, groaning with affection. Naruto beamed. Anyway, I'm not the best at speeches, but I promise, I'll do my best for all of you. Because that's what heroes and friends and us Space Kings do, right? Kaguya laughed, the sound bright and contagious. For a moment, the whole chamber joined in, a chorus of relief and celebration, romance and resolution. Afterward, as the hall cleared and the new laws were inscribed, Kaguya caught Naruto's hand in hers, drawing him close. You wore the crown well, beloved, even if you nearly knocked it off. He grinned, leaning in until their foreheads touched. I can save the world, but I guess I'll always be a little clumsy. She smiled, pulling him into a quiet embrace. Good. I never wanted a perfect king, just one who would never let go. Outside, two worlds waited for their new dawn. The first real conference between shinobi and Otsutsuki leaders was held in a luminous hall that straddled both realms. A grand pavilion grown from the god tree itself, roots and crystal archways blending earth and moon into one. Inside, banners of every village and Otsutsuki clan hung side by side. There were tables carved from living wood and moonstone, plates of both ramen and rare celestial fruit, and nervous glances from both sides. Though the war was over, peace was still a new and unfamiliar language. Bridging worlds. Naruto, now sporting his slightly askew crown of moons, took his seat beside Kaguya. Sasuke, dignified but guarded, represented the shinobi alongside Tsunade, Kakashi, and a tentative, hopeful Hinata. The Otsutsuki Council was thinned of traitors, but new voices, curious, cautious, filled the gaps. Sasuke was the first to speak, his words measured but firm. The past can't be changed, but if there's a chance for peace, the shinobi world won't waste it. Hinata nodded, her voice trembling but true. We've seen what fear and division can do. Maybe it's time to trust something else. Other leaders offered support, some with genuine warmth, others with wary politeness. Old wounds ached. There were moments of tension, heated words over territory, chakra trade, and old battles. But for every shout, there was a hand extended, a story shared, a laugh breaking the old ice. Resistance and shadows. Yet not all was well beneath the shining surface. A few shinobi elders, clan heads who remembered the worst of the Otsutsuki's rule, grumbled about alien influence. Some Otsutsuki nobles, especially those from distant lineages, whispered about dilution of blood. Eyes lingered too long on Naruto, on Kaguya, on Hinata and Sasuke, those who reached across boundaries. During a break, Naruto overheard an ANBU captain mutter, "Can we really trust them? What happens if the goddess changes her mind?" At the far end of the hall, a young Otsutsuki with pale blue eyes met Naruto's gaze, smiling, but with an edge. There were still secrets, still schemes. The future was unwritten, and not all hearts were ready for unity. A promise and a warning. Near the conference's close, Kaguya rose, her voice both strong and kind. Peace is not a gift. It is a choice, renewed every day. We choose it together, and we defend it together. Naruto followed, fist raised, grin unbreakable. Doesn't matter if you're shinobi, Otsutsuki, or just a ramen lover. If you want peace, you're part of our family now. There was applause, genuine and reluctant, as alliances formed. Some in ink, some only in cautious hope. But as the peace talks ended, Naruto caught Sasuke's eye. The Uchiha nodded slightly, but murmured, "Watch the shadows. Some old enemies don't die, they just wait for new chances." Naruto nodded, heart determined. Peace was never easy. But this time, he wasn't alone. The Great War had faded into memory, and peace settled softly over both Earth and Moon. Borders once defined by suspicion now shimmered with portals and bridges. Villages and Otsutsuki cities pulsed with new life and cautious optimism. For the first time in living memory, children of both worlds grew up together, neither fully human nor wholly celestial, but something entirely new. Mentor among stars, Naruto stood atop the restored god tree, overlooking a training field bathed in morning light. Around him gathered a small band of eager faces, the first class of shinobi Otsutsuki hybrids. Their eyes sparkled with chakra and mischief. Some wore headbands, others silvery robes, but all of them looked to Naruto as their sensei. "All right, class," Naruto called, holding up a scroll in one hand and a bundle of moon lotus buns in the other. "First lesson, believe in yourself, even if you trip over your own feet sometimes. Second lesson, never underestimate the power of a good prank." The children laughed, unleashing tiny spirals of cosmic chakra in the grass, a few clones popping up to pull playful tricks. Some practiced jutsu with Otsutsuki grace, others with the rough and tumble style of Konoha. Naruto beamed at the blend. For once, he felt the future wasn't divided by blood, but united by heart. Peace in quiet moments. Later, as twilight painted the world in silver and gold, Naruto and Kaguya stood together atop the highest palace balcony. Below, the lights of both worlds mingled, a constellation of hope. Kaguya leaned into him, eyes tracing the horizon. "It's quieter now. Sometimes I fear it's only a dream." Naruto squeezed her hand, thumb brushing her knuckles. "If it is, I hope I never wake up. But even if peace wavers, we built something real, together." She smiled, a warm, private smile, filled with gratitude and trust. "You make it easy to hope, Naruto." They watched in companionable silence as shooting stars danced across the night sky. For the first time, neither of them felt alone. Comedy, ramen mastery. Naruto's pride, however, burned brightest when he finally conquered a long-standing challenge, teaching the moon goddess how to eat ramen. In the moon palace's kitchen, Naruto rolled up his sleeves, grinning with determination. Kaguya sat at the counter, solemn and composed, chopsticks held with delicate uncertainty. "Okay," Naruto instructed, "just like this. Pinch, lift, slurp, no chakra, no moonlight, just pure noodle power." Kaguya's first attempt was disastrous. Noodles slipped, broth splattered, a lone fish cake stuck to her cheek. Naruto tried, and failed, not to laugh. She gave him a mock glare, lips twitching. This is more challenging than any Otsutsuki ritual. But on the next try, she managed a perfect slurp. Naruto hooped, throwing his arms around her shoulders. "We did it. Ramen victory." Kaguya, mouth full of noodles, couldn't help but laugh. It was a soft, musical sound that echoed through the palace halls, joyful and entirely human. A promise for tomorrow. As night deepened, Naruto and Kaguya sat together beneath the open sky, surrounded by new bonds and old dreams. The world was at peace, for now, but even if storms came again, they knew they would face them as one. The Otsutsuki garden was a miracle born of peace. Its roots once twisted for conquest, now blossoming with vibrant chakra fruits. Petals shimmered in every color of moonlight, each one heavy with possibility. The air was fragrant with renewal, the ground alive with gentle energy. It was here, in this quiet sanctuary, that the future first stirred. New life, children of moon and earth. In the center of the garden, Kaguya walked barefoot along dew-touched moss, the moonlit hem of her robes trailing behind. By her side, Naruto knelt beside a young sapling, a god tree offshoot, now gentle, its fruit glowing with soft golden chakra. Nearby, laughter rang out as two small children, a girl with hair like starlight, a boy with sun-bright eyes, played hide-and-seek between blooming branches. Their laughter was wild, echoing both Kaguya's serene grace and Naruto's irrepressible spirit. They darted through falling petals, the world's first true children of both moon and earth. Kaguya knelt to gather them in her arms, warmth bright in her eyes. Naruto tousled their hair, his heart full to bursting. "Our world's really changing, huh?" he whispered. Kaguya smiled. "It is. They are hope made real, Naruto. Our second chance." A visitor from beyond. As the day waned and dusk bathed the garden in indigo light, a sudden ripple passed through the air, a silent, alien shift. Naruto felt it first, a tingle in his chakra, an instinct sharpened by battles past. From the garden's edge, a portal blossomed open. Out stepped a figure shrouded in star-cloth, eyes luminous and strange, their chakra deep and unfamiliar. They bore a sigil unlike any Otsutsuki, their presence older than legends. The garden's petals trembled. Naruto stepped forward, shielding his family with a hand, his stance ready but calm. The visitor's voice resonated like a distant bell. "Children of Kaguya, heir of Uzumaki, the stars watch you with curiosity and caution. The seed of peace you have sown will grow, but storms move in the galactic dark. Remember, unity is a shield, but also a beacon." Before Naruto could reply, the visitor vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving only a scattering of stardust and a sense that the universe had grown just a little wider. Reaffirming vows, night returned, soft and silent. In the garden's heart, beneath the flowering god tree, Naruto took Kaguya's hand. The children slept nearby, safe in the world they had forged. Naruto squeezed her fingers, voice soft but certain. "We promised to face everything together, didn't we? No matter what's out there, we'll keep our promise." Kaguya brushed a moon petal from his cheek and leaned in, her forehead pressed to his. "For every tomorrow," she vowed, "as long as the stars remember us." They renewed their vows beneath the living tree. No grand ceremony, just whispered promises, laughter, and the peace of belonging. Seeds of the future. As the moon rose high, petals drifted down on the sleeping children and the world their parents had changed. The garden bloomed on, untouched by war, alive with hope and possibility. Beyond, in the shadows between stars, a new destiny was taking shape. But for tonight, love and unity reigned. The sky stretched endless and deep, a sea of blue above earth, touched with the glow of distant stars. From the highest balcony of the Moon Palace, Naruto stood hand in hand with Kaguya, their children chasing silver clouds behind them. Below, Earth spun in silent majesty, green and gold beneath swirling clouds, forever changed by what had come before. Looking back, Naruto leaned against the balcony rail, his crown of moons glinting crookedly, ceremonial robes traded for the familiar orange and black jacket. His gaze swept the horizon, memories flickering by. A lonely child in a strange world, a ninja's stubborn promise, the awe and terror of meeting Kaguya's eyes for the first time. Battles fought, some for survival, some for love. Laughter shared, peace forged, unity won. He felt Kaguya's presence beside him, grounding and warm. Once, she had been unreachable, a goddess chained by sorrow. Now, she was his equal, his companion, his family. Kaguya's voice was soft. "Do you regret it, Naruto? Choosing this, choosing us?" Naruto grinned, golden and undimmed. "Never. Everything I ever wanted, belonging, love, ramen, it's all right here. Maybe I'm not the world's best king, but I'm the luckiest ninja alive." Final display, a symbol for all. Below, on both worlds, the people gathered to watch the sky. Today was the Festival of Unity, a celebration of the peace forged between Otsutsuki and Shinobi, of hope and second chances. At Naruto's signal, he and Kaguya leapt into the sky, their chakra unfurled in twin spirals, moonlight and sunlight dancing together, painting auroras that stretched from moon to earth. Children gasped, elders wept, and friends old and new cheered as shapes appeared in the light. A fox chasing a rabbit, hands clasped in friendship, a bridge of color connecting every land. As the festival reached its peak, Kaguya pulled Naruto close, the world's eyes on them, and pressed her lips to his. Moon and ninja, divine and human, united not by fate, but by choice. Their joined laughter and joy rippled through the auroras, echoing down to every village, every city, every lonely corner where a child once wondered if they could belong. Epilogue, laughter across worlds. Time moved forward, as it always did. Children grew. Legends changed. Enemies became allies. The Otsutsuki garden flourished. Earth blossomed in 1,000 new ways. Yet, if you listen closely, on a still night in Konoha, or under the silver branches of the god tree, or in the silent, endless blue above, you could sometimes hear the sound of laughter. Wild, bright, unstoppable. The laughter of a boy who became a god, but never stopped being Naruto Uzumaki. And that wraps up today's story. What if Naruto was a full-blooded Otsutsuki and married Kaguya? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did putting it together. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment with your thoughts or your own what-if ideas. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.